now the latest on June 28th around the wide world of tropics. Here's your tropical weather bulletin. Tropical Storm Alvin is stronger in the eastern Pacific today. Invest 94W was named Sepat by the Japanese Meteorological Agency but displayed no center of circulation, and so we can't give it tropical storm status. Invest 95W also persists in the Philippine Sea. Day 28 of hurricane season in the Atlantic, no systems are active at this time. Still fairly quiet. The Eastern Pacific, of course, consists of Alvin, day 45 into the Eastern Pacific hurricane season, with another area of interest with a decent chance of development in the Eastern Pacific later on in the next week. 94W still with a 10% chance of development and 95W still at 30%. No systems are active in the southern hemisphere at this time. It's all clear once again, leaving just those three systems that we've been tracking for some time. Of course, the main feature is Alvin, winds 65 miles per hour, pressure 998 millibars, which is obviously much stronger than it was yesterday, and one or two rumours that it could get to hurricane status now. 89 miles from Clarion Island, Mexico, 17.1 north, 144.8 west. Over the next few days, we expect the storm to continue towards the west-northwest. Most models think that the storm is peaking or has peaked by now and will be on a weakening trend and will turn post-tropical by the end of the weekend. Certainly, it doesn't have very much time to do any more strengthening because dry air and cooler sea surface temperatures will begin to affect the storm. Here is how it's been looking. One thing that is in its favour, as you can see on the wind shear graphic here, is that wind shear. It is 5 to 10 knots at this moment. Those green areas show that it is all good for the storm at this time. So that is one thing that is going in Alvin's favour as it does try to develop an eye. Looking in the North Atlantic, this is how it's been looking in the last few hours. Lots of dry air persisting in the eastern Atlantic coming off the Sahara Desert, but elsewhere it's pretty quiet really. Little flare-ups still continuing near Panama and Costa Rica, and some thunderstorms, typical thunderstorms over Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, and also now spreading into southern Florida. Parts of Texas also having significant thunderstorms at this time. Here is Tropical Storm Alvin. There it is, pictured on the right-hand side of the screen. In the grand scheme of things, it is not particularly significant in terms of its size because it isn't that big as cyclones go. And out there in the central Pacific there is an extratropical system there just to the northwest of Hawaii. In the Western Pacific, 95W is quite clearly marked there on the left-hand side of the screen. Convection blowing up in the last few hours really, particularly to the western side. 94W, which has been called Sepat by the JMA, but we don't think so because the center of circulation really wasn't there as it was pushing through the Japanese islands, although it definitely did have gale force winds. The Australia and South Pacific region looks like this. Not too much going on at all here, some convection blowing up just north of Samoa. The Indian Ocean, typical stuff really, monsoonal thunderstorms occurring over India it would appear, and further south over the ocean too, and in the Andaman Islands, but really it's very quiet in that region too. Sea surface temperatures look like this in the eastern East Pacific, still piping hot, 28 degrees or higher, ready for the next storm which could arrive at any time. That's what happens in the eastern Pacific at this time of year. The Atlantic very warm along the west coast of Florida and over the Bahamas. And looking towards the Indian Ocean, pretty much back to normal after Vayu 2 weeks ago, and the Bay of Bengal there as well, very warm, 30 degrees plus. And in the Philippine Sea, still very warm waters as well, 30 degrees or higher. The South China Sea is particularly warm. So let's now look at Invest 95W on the floater imagery, and you can see how it's been developing in the last few hours. It's got about 2 or 3 days to make the most of its conditions and possibly develop into a short-lived cyclone. Models think that some energy from this system could develop a new storm in the South China Sea next week. This is what Tropical Storm Alvin looks like, just 89 miles from Clarion Island, which is that small one just to the north-northwest of the storm. Population is 9 and could be affected. I don't think it's a massive chance because of Alvin's small size, but tropical storm force winds are a possibility. So in the Atlantic, we've had Andrea, the next name is Barry. In the Eastern Pacific, Barbara is next on the naming list. In the Central Pacific, Akoni is next to come there. Of course, Alvin, the first tropical storm, the latest start to a hurricane season since 1964. Sepat there we have marked down in white because of its status, and Hika is the next name in the North Indian Ocean. The next name in the Western Pacific is Mun. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, with the latest information. You can also find our YouTube page, you're probably there already. Please subscribe if you haven't so far. And our social mediums, Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 all in text. You can get in touch on any of those two. We'll get back to you in pretty quick fashion. That's all for now. You can also help the project become even better by becoming a patron. You can see more information about all the benefits involved by visiting patreon.com/Force13. You can also contact me on Discord. It's Fool13 at extension 9094 and Force13 on Skype. You can also find our server link to our Discord server for tropical weather chat in our description.